All right. Welcome, class. I'm so glad you guys got to come today. I had such a fun time today in class. And Avery, my goodness gracious, your jokes have been making me laugh the whole rest of the day. So thank you so much for that. Today we're going to be talking about energy transformation. And I want you guys to go ahead and grab your t-shirt, just like we have up here, t-shirt foldable that we did in class, so that you can write down all your notes and have them ready for tomorrow. Okay? Pause the video and go ahead and do that. Alright, if you've already gotten those, we're going to start off by talking about some energy transformations that happen in our everyday life. I brought with me a little bit of a prop. If you guys can see this, this is a picture, and this picture is printed on film. Film is not something that's very popular today. It is characterized by, it is a hard copy of the picture, and this particular film came out of a Polaroid camera, which Polaroids are not super popular anymore, but this one came out of a Polaroid, and this is Miss King right here. This is a picture of me and my boyfriend, and he got me this camera because, as you guys know, I love to take pictures. But something that's cool to happen with this, that energy occurred to make this thing happen, was there was a couple of types of energy that occurred. There was this one type, it's called radiant energy, and radiant energy, as we will hear about later, is light energy, and it comes from the sun, and then in addition to that, all the light that kind of comes around here affects it as well. And for a camera, as this little thing came from, cameras capture in all that light, and they try to just capture it in the brightest amount. If you can see a little closer, it's a fairly bright picture. Now, if I was in a dark room, it would be a much darker picture, and it would be a little hard to see it. But what the camera did is it took in all of the light, and it used mechanical energy to imprint it on here for the camera to move, and then imprint it on here using chemical energy, which this little piece of film was in the camera, and when the light hit it, all of a sudden a picture started to form. Now, today we have digital stuff, and so it happens a lot faster, and you don't get to see all the intricate details, but we'll come back to this later. Alright, if you guys can go ahead and grab your t-shirt little note-taking foldables, and we'll get started. Remember, on the back we do our vocab. Reason being, as I said before, is that we do our vocab on the back because it kind of helps keep the additional information that we have already retained in our heads, and it just allows us to look at it really quick, but then when we need to look at the most important stuff, we're able to flip things over and have the most important things zeroed in. Just like Miss King uses her, let me grab them, my special little index card that I use in class. I try to put only the most important stuff on it. And so vocab, though it is important, it's a lot of information. So one thing that I need you guys to do before tomorrow is learn this vocab. We're going to go through each little piece on the back of our foldable, and I would like you guys to memorize and understand what each of these are. So that means learning what it says, as well as learning the examples that I give you, because we're going to be using all of these words in our experiment tomorrow, which I think is going to be super cool. Put this down. And last but not least, I want you guys to be thinking ahead as to why I chose the shape of a white t-shirt. This is going to come into play tomorrow in our experiment, and it's going to help us as we're using this today. Maybe just think about what we could use a white t-shirt to learn more about energy transformations with. So just keep that in the back of your mind. The first little vocab word we're going to have today is energy. And energy is the ability to do work. Energy comes from just being able to move forward and back, side to side, do the Cupid shuffle and the cha-cha slide, all those kinds of things. And work specifically, now that doesn't mean what your mom and dad might do when they drop you off to school and they go to work. Work in this definition is talking about not a job per se where you get paid, but rather just movement, the ability to use force over a certain distance, such as when I move my hand right here, when I wave it at you guys, hello, when I wave it at you guys, I'm doing work, and I'm moving my hand back and forth. over this whole distance. So I start over here and I move it over here. Now, we don't think about some of those tiny things that energy is used in because they're just normal. And that's the cool thing about science, is that it's natural. All these things are things that happen all around us, and we're just understanding the tinier pieces that make certain things happen. So, energy is the ability to do work. Don't forget it. Once again, don't mess with these three faces again. They had better be on your paper tomorrow. We'll come back to those at the very end, but make sure that they are there. Wonderful. The next little vocab word we're going to have are fossil fuels. Now, we've talked a little bit about fossil fuels in our history time as well as in science time. And fossil fuels, as we have said before, are fuels or just organic matter that is formed by natural processes. So humans and animals and anything that can do work, as we said over here, is not making it. We're not making fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are occurring naturally through how the earth is formed and how it works together. These natural processes occur over a long period of time. I'm talking long, like longer than a week, longer than this whole school year, like long time. And they're made up, it's kind of gross, but it's made up of dead organisms, such as dinosaurs that were around tons and tons of years ago. And they're buried after they die, and then as they start to die, and after they're buried, their bodies decompose, and so what's left is the bones and just the organic matter, the skin, the flesh, that kind of thing. As it decomposes, it slowly gets compacted down into the layers of the earth, and then what comes out is what you guys use for maybe a fire. When you have the nice grill and the barbecue outside, you have your coals that you gotta cook over top, and then another one is oil that we use a lot. And so those are two very important fossil fuels. Don't forget it. Please write all this down. Next one is our energy transformation. Now, as I talked earlier about our photograph, energy transformation is where energy of one type changes into another type. Now, there are a number of different types of energies, and we are going to go through a couple of those. The first one, whoa, my t-shirt's going flying. The first one is radiant energy, and radiant energy is going to come into play in our experiment tomorrow, so pay attention to this. Radiant energy is energy from the sun. It is light energy. It is when you go outside and there is light all over the place, that is where it's formed in waves. And these waves come from the sun. You guys might have heard of different things when you guys are out at the beach and you had to put on sunscreen, especially Miss King, because her skin gets burned real quick at the beach. But the sun's wave, the waves from the sun, from the light energy, is put into different kinds of light energy. One is ultraviolet light. And ultraviolet light is not good for my skin, and the sunscreen helps protect it from that kind of light. But that light is energy. It's kind of crazy, but think about it. Next one is mechanical energy. And mechanical energy is an object's motion, both kinetic and potential energy. So when an object, such as Miss King, I will be your object, I have the ability to walk towards you, or to move back, or just to stand still. When I'm standing still, remember, when we stand still, our potential energy is at its highest. But when we're moving, our kinetic energy is at its highest. And mechanical energy is the combination of both of those energies in an object, that motion. An example of mechanical energy is a moving robot. When a robot is moving all around, they are using mechanical energy in order to move around. Our next one is down here. Oh no, my sticky note stuck. It is electrical energy. And electrical energy is energy that it is the electric charge that lets work occur. An example of this is our power outlets. Oh, these wonderful things are all over the place. And our power outlets have the capacity to form an electric charge that will then go up the wire, that whatever device that you're using is connected to, and allows an electrical charge to either charge a battery to make something work, such as my coffee maker or my toaster, any of those things. But that is electrical energy, the electric charge that lets work occur. And when that electric charge happens, work is able to happen, whether that be mechanical energy, such as in a toaster. Toasters won't work until you plug it in. And once you plug it in, it's able to use mechanical energy to work all the different pieces and toast your wonderful little piece of bread, and then it pops out, and all of that motion, that's all mechanical energy. Our next one is chemical energy. Now, chemical energy you might have heard a little bit more about because on our cereal boxes, they like to talk about the chemical energy and the different things that your body will receive after you've eaten the wonderful Cheerios that you had this morning. Chemical energy is the energy stored in the bonds of chemical compounds. Now, that's a long, crazy definition, but we'll break it down. The energy stored, which is our energy, the ability to do work, is stored, so it's potential, in the bonds of chemical compounds. Now, what is a chemical compound? Where multiple chemicals are able to come together in molecules that then are formed into larger things, all the way up to your wonderful cereal box. And the chemical energy is stored in the bonds of those chemical compounds. So in this molecule over here and this molecule over here that's formed these two different chemicals, the bonds that hold them together are then combined into another bond, and those bonds all have chemical energy stored into them. Now, the chemical energy is potential, and it will stay stored until later when your body is using that and is causing a chemical reaction to occur in order for all those nutrients to spread all throughout your body so that you can move and walk and feel very healthy and full. Next, our very last energy. It's not super long, I just wrote it really big. I got a lot of sticky notes up here. Our last one is thermal energy. Thermal energy is heat energy. It is caused by kinetic energy. An example of thermal energy is when you rub your hands together really, really fast and you form heat, and suddenly your hands are nice and warm and it feels wonderful. Thermal energy is heat, but there is something that can mess everybody up. Thermal energy, though it is heat energy, it is not light energy. They are two different things. Now, the sun does cause you to warm up. The sun does cause light to form. So that means that the sun gives off both radiant energy and thermal energy. And thermal energy occurs when the sun's light, all the rays are coming down. It causes thermal energy to occur in your skin, and all the little skin molecules are rubbing together faster and faster once heat kicks in, and it causes you to warm up. So, just to make sure we're clear, thermal energy never, ever equal radiant energy, though the two can be occurring at the same time. So remember, thermal does not equal radiant energy. No. So those are our notes for today. I want you guys to make sure that you all are looking over all of these, memorizing what they mean, and remember, we are going to use these in our experiment tomorrow. Now, please go ahead and once you've memorized them and looked through them a little bit, I want you all to circle or color in which face represents your understanding. Are you still like, I have no clue what you're talking about, Ms. King, what's going on? Or are you like, I think I got this, I think I can learn a little bit more about it, but I think I got it? Or are you like, oh yeah, girlfriend, I got this. So please circle or color in whichever face it is, and make sure you do it, or else I'll come. Make sure that you do it tomorrow. All right. Stay. Thank you. Lastly, after you guys have gone over your different energy transformation vocabulary, I want you all to remember when we fill out our foldable, we fill out the next 3 boxes as well. The first box is our most important thing that we learned today. think back to all the different vocab and go back in the video if you would like to, and think about what did Miss King say that was probably the most important thing that I needed to learn from this, whether it be what's the definition of this word or that word, or was it an example. Please write that in your first box. The next box is our diagram, which we're going to look at next. Please draw out this diagram. Can you see it? Wonderful. Ta-da! Our beautiful diagram. We have a couple different things in our diagram, and I know that we've been practicing labeling our diagrams. So first, Miss King did this a little bit ahead of time, so please just follow along. We have our cell phone camera, and just like we talked about earlier with our little film, piece of film, we're going to be talking about the cell phone camera and how that does energy transformations. We have our person, which we talked about how energy transformations occur, our sun, which we talked about energy transformations with, and then a lamp, which we talked a little bit about. And so we're going to use this little diagram to talk about what types of energy occur from here to here, here to here, and here and here. What's all happening here? Now, let me grab some of my little markers. In this picture, we have our special little person today. We'll name him Thomas. Thomas is taking a selfie of himself. Now, in order to keep the diagram from being all convoluted, I'm not having him holding the cell phone. Someone else is taking a selfie of him. But he is here in the little screen on your cell phone when you take a picture, and he is over here as well. Now, first thing before we look at the rest of the diagram, we got to think already inside of Thomas, what is going on in his body? What kinds of energies are occurring in his body? And I want us to think about two different ones. First off, one that's most definitely happening, which we can see back in our little vocabulary, are that some very important things that we talked about was, one, chemical energy occurs in your body. So that's something I want to throw on up there. So please go ahead and write this along with me. Chemical energy is occurring inside of Thomas's body, as well as, can you guys think of any others that might be occurring? Let's see, electrical energy, maybe a little bit in his brain. There is electrical currents going in his brain. Mechanical energy is probably happening. It's where the object's motion, both kinetic and potential energy, is occurring. That one definitely is. Radiant energy. Is he giving off any light? No, I don't think so. He might be a pretty Thomas, but he is not giving off any light. Lastly, thermal energy. Is he giving off any thermal energy? Does your body radiate heat? These are some very important things, and so I do believe that thermal, mechanical, and chemical energies are all happening. We'll just pick two of them though. I'll do chemical and mechanical. Oh, and you're right, electrical energy as well, because in his brain, it's very smart. There's electrical currents going through there. Next up, we're going to talk about the cell phone. What kind of energy transformations and energies that are being used are already in there? One, let's see, we'll go through them. Radiant energy. Is this giving off any light? Is the cell phone giving off any light if it's not turned on? I'm saying it is turned off, or at least the screen's dark. Okay, so no radiant energy, at least not yet. Let's see, chemical energy, is it giving off, is there any chemicals inside of your cell phone? Maybe, I don't know for sure, so we'll have to research that. Let's see if there's any others. Mechanical energy, an object's motion, both kinetic and potential energy. We talked about an example of mechanical energy was a robot. Is a cell phone like a robot? Does it does things that we ask it to do? Though the physical cell phone itself doesn't move from here to here, it is moving a little bit inside, isn't it? Like when we push our little button here, it's sending off signals over here, and that causes this to move and things inside of it to move. I think there might be a little mechanical energy in there. We'll write that down. And then lastly, electrical energy. The electric charge that lets work occur. So when we press our home button or our back button or whatever button is at the bottom of your phone, when we press that, that is causing electrical energy to occur in the phone. It is allowing for our different electrical currents to occur in order for the information that we want the phone to receive it. So we'll add that in there as well. Very good. So knowing these things ahead of time, let's see what else is going on over here. We have the sunshine. The sun I talked about earlier gives off radiant energy as well as thermal energy. So let's stick up a radiant energy little card. And we have two little arrows because the sun gives off lots of light. So we're going to add some of our little arrows, our little words. What about the lamp? Does the lamp give off radiant energy or mechanical or chemical energy? I think it gives off radiant energy because it's also giving off light as well. So we'll add that in there too. And then this little arrow right here, this one is, actually I should probably switch around my arrows. Excuse me really quick, guys. Let's change my arrows around. So when Thomas actually pushes the button to take a selfie of himself, he is using what kind of energy with his hand? He's using mechanical energy, right? Yeah. So we'll add our little mechanical energy. And then once he takes the picture and we see the beautiful face of Thomas after that right over here, what is the phone giving off? It's giving off light. It's showing a picture, and the picture is almost illuminated because the phone is so bright. So it is also giving off some radiant energy. And this is going to be our little diagram, an example of energy transformations where when our sweet little Thomas is using mechanical energy, radiant energy occurs. And it occurs and works because there is so much light going on over here that the camera is able to pick it up and then display it back in a way. So, fun little fact. Alright guys, last but not least, let's make sure that we finish our diagram, finish our sweet little diagram right here. Please turn it in tomorrow. And then the very bottom, this is the most important part. I want you all to think really hard. Is there anything new that you learned today? Think about all the different vocabulary terms I used, as well as the diagram. And think about, is there anything that was totally brand new or just made you think about it differently? Please write that down there. Now, I have a little bonus for you guys. So we will add a little fun little thing up here. You can draw a little cloud or just whatever little cloud shape you want to up here. I want you all to write in that little shape, what do you think we are going to be using this white t-shirt for in our experiment tomorrow? I want you all to think about all the different types of energies, and is there any kind of energy that can affect a white t-shirt? It's very interesting. Or a white piece of paper. Think about it. Wonderful. Thank you guys very much for just being here today. I'll see you all tomorrow. And don't forget, Mr. Avery, please bring your black t-shirt and your black piece of paper. And Miss Jenna, please bring your white t-shirt and white piece of paper. And lastly, Miss Abigail, I need you to bring in whatever colored t-shirt that you wanted to. Don't forget, it's very, very important. I love you guys. Take care. Bye.